Hi guys, this is Ms. Paredes. This is Unit 1, Lesson 1, Create Frequency Distributions. The aim is how do we analyze data in order to understand what's happening around us, and the objective is I can create a frequency distribution from a data set. Why are frequency distributions useful? Well, they help us organize data in a meaningful way. They help us determine the nature or shape of the distribution. They help us draw charts and graphs such as histograms for the presentation of data. And finally, they help us make comparisons between different data sets. To our example, let's go ahead and go over some vocabulary. Frequency distribution. It is what we're learning to do today. It is the organization of raw data in table form using classes and frequencies. Raw data is the data collected in its original form. A class is a quantitative or qualitative category. Think of it as a row in the table in which raw data is placed. Class width is the difference between the upper and lower boundaries of any class / category. Remember I mentioned this before. A tally is a mark used for counting organized in groups of 5. And frequency is the number of times a data value occurs. Here's an example of a frequency distribution. Notice how under the column that says number of plants survived, there are 8 classes in total, and each class has a width of 10 units. You will see in the middle row the tally marks grouped in 5s, and finally in the last column you will see the frequency, the amount of times the values in those classes occur. Let's start with example 1. A teacher recorded the student grades of the math final exam in her gradebook. The data, not they, can be found below. Construct a frequency distribution with 6 classes. All right, so we know we want 6 categories, so we need to figure out what our class width is going to be. What I want to do is I want to find what my lowest value is, and I can see that my lowest value is the 38, and my highest value, which is 100. So I'm going to subtract my highest minus my lowest to find my range. All right, so I know my range is 62. And since I want 6 classes, I'm going to take that 62 and I'm going to divide it by 6. And I get 10.3. Therefore, I'm going to round this number up. My class width is going to be 11. All right, so I'm going to start with a value that is either the lowest value or a number that I like that's below the class, the lowest value. So I'm going to start actually with 35 in my first class. And if my class width is 11, that means that my interval is going to go from 35 to 45. We don't want numbers to overlap when we are creating our intervals for our classes. So my next class will start at 46 and will go to 56. At 57 and go to 67. The next class will be 68 and go to 78. My next class will be 79 and go to 89. And finally, my last class will start at 90 and go to 100. All right, now that we have written down our classes, we can start tallying up the data. All right, so let's start with 38. 38 falls between 35 and 45. Cross this off. 66 falls between 57 and 67. So I'm going to cross this off. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and finish this for us so that we save time. Now that I have tallied the data, let's go ahead and record the frequency. All right, so I have 1 tally mark here. So the frequency for the first class is 1, 2. When you see 4 tallies with a slash, that is a total of 5. So this frequency has 5. This is 5 plus another 3 is 8. 5 again. And finally, 5 plus another 4 is 9. Let's go ahead and add all of these. When I add all of these up, I get a total of 30. So we have done this correctly. In summary, the way that you construct a frequency distribution is 1, you want to determine the lowest and highest values in the data set. Then 2, you want to determine how many classes. 3, you want to determine the class width. 4, you want to determine, sorry, not determine, but you want to tally the occurrence of each value in the appropriate class. 5, you want to record the class frequencies. And finally, 6, you want to add the frequencies to make sure the total matches the data set.